Hi everyone, thanks for coming back to watch another video. This video is going to be a follow-up on the original Craft Artist 2 to SVG video. If you haven't already watched that video, please go back and watch it. And then when you watch this video, this one will make a lot more sense. In the original video, as you recall, I showed you that to export a design from Craft Artist 2 into SVG format was as easy as bringing the design onto your page, selecting line mode, changing the line width to 0.1 point, clicking on File and going to Export as Picture, select a DPI of 96. In this box it should say Selected Item. If it says Page, click the drop down arrow and click on Selected Item. And for the format, you want Scalable Vector Graphic SVG. If it says something else, click on this little drop down arrow, go down the list and select Scalable Vector Graphics SVG. When all of these settings are correct, you'll see in this preview window what's going to be exported, and you click on Export. In this window that pops up, select your directory and give the file a name that means something to you. I'm just going to name this sample and I'm going to save it. And here you can see a thumbnail in my preview window of my folder. If your icons look different than mine, don't be concerned about that. I have installed a very specific SVG thumbnail viewer in my Windows on my computer. If you don't have it installed, then you're just going to see probably generic icons like this one right here. So this is the sample file that I've just exported. And if I drag that into my cutting program, for this video I'm just using Inkscape. When I bring this sample file into Inkscape, I can go to Object and Ungroup, deselect, then reselect, and drag this item over. And right over here you see I have my cut line. I'm going to make that a little bit easier for you to see in the video. There. Now you can see I have my graphic and I have my cut line. And these were the steps that I showed you in the first video. After I posted the video, I was contacted by quite a few people who were having troubles of different sorts. And the basic problems were that after they exported their SVG file, they had a graphic but no image. I'm sorry, they had a graphic but no cut lines, or they had cut lines but no image, or they had something really strange that just looked like a big piece of paper. After I posted that video, and people were posting different issues on the forums, Daisy Trail posted a tutorial on their blog, and it's a wonderful tutorial. But their method was to bring an image onto the screen and go to Tools, Convert to Curves, and I believe you had to set a stroke width and make the line color black, which this one is, and the fill color also black, and then go to File, Export as Picture, and choose your SVG settings. But what happens with these settings is you get a cut line filled with color. I've already exported this prior to doing the video, so I'll just go to Inkscape and show you what comes in with the daisy trail method. You get a cut line, and I'm going to remove the fill color to show you the cut lines. Change my stroke width, make it easier to see. With the daisy trail method, you get a cut line, but you don't get the graphic. So I started looking at different digikits and different embellishments, trying to figure out what was going on and find a happy medium. And I've managed to do that, and that's what I'm going to show you in this follow-up video. The goal with exporting SVG from uh, Craft Artist 2 is to have a file that can be used not only for making digital die cuts, but for doing print and cuts. And to do a print and cut, as you need a graphic and a cut line, just like this here. We have a graphic and we have a cut line. And that's the ultimate goal when we're exporting from Craft Artist 2 to SVG format. With my method, some people were not getting cut lines, or they were getting a piece, what looked like a piece of paper. And with the daisy trail method, there is no graphic for the print and cut. So I'm just going to clear my screen here and go back to Craft Artist. Clear this screen also. So here's what was happening. I've already showed you the green leaf, and done with my method, you got the graphic and the cut lines. If I use my method for this red leaf, when you bring it into the cutting program, there's an image, but even if I ungroup, there are no cut lines for this image. It's just the graphic. Then with the daisy trail method, like I showed you, you got a cut line with no image. And then there's one more scenario that was really kind of strange. And that scenario was people would import their SVG and all they had was what looked like a piece of paper, or it looked like a digipaper. And that's exactly what you were getting, is a digipaper. I found this image in one of the digikits, and if you look at it, it appears to be a cute little deer with a blue pattern in it. And if you converted this to curves, or if you just changed the stroke with whichever method you used, if you exported it, and I'm not going to export it right now, I've done that previously, but if you try to export this image right now, when you import it into your cutting software, here I have this little blue deer file that I already exported. When you bring it into your other program, it looks like a digital paper. And that's exactly what it is. I'll show you a little bit more about this deer. I'm going to zoom in, make it a little bit bigger so it's easier to see. I'll also try to zoom in before I publish the video. See down here it says select cropped item. If you click on select cropped item, here you see this big square outline and it looks like there's nothing in it. But if you move it any at all, you can see it is a digital paper. So I don't know exactly how Daisy Trail makes all of their wonderful digikits and embellishments, but what I can gather from what I can see is that this cute little deer was made using a stencil or a punch. I'm going to size this back down, get it back on the screen. So if you select cropped item, you get the outline of a page, and if you move it around, you can see it is a digital paper, probably one of the materials. But if I select the cropped item, then I get the deer. But when I drag, look closely, you'll see all I'm doing is moving the paper under the stencil or the punch. I'll come back and show you more about this deer later. So the happy medium that I've figured out between my method and the daisy trail method that should work for all users goes like this. Drag your embellishment onto the screen. Oh, that's the SVG file, I'm sorry. Um, Drag your embellishment onto the screen. Resize it because we're going to have two of these. With your element selected, press and hold down the Control key on your keyboard while you click and drag, and you see a copy being made. Release the mouse button, and now release the Control button. You now have two identical images on the screen. With this copy of the original image still selected, go to go to Tools, Convert to Curves. In your Color tab, make sure that the line is black, and then go to your Fill and select black also. Now click away to deselect. Drag a selection around both pieces. Go to File, Export, and export as picture. Choose your DPI and all of your other settings and click on Export. Choose the location. Give this file a name, and I'm going to call it New Sample, and click on Save. And over here I have a thumbnail, and when I open this in my cutting software, I have an image and I have a cut line. If I ungroup these two, I can select only the cutting part of the pattern, remove the fill color, assign a stroke color, and here I have my image and my cut line, and I can realign my cut line to my image and make any adjustments that are needed. Now remember this red leaf, when I did my method I got the image only, and with the daisy trail method I got the cut lines only. The new method, make this a little bit bigger to see it, press and hold the Control key, drag a copy to the side, let go of the mouse, let go of the Control key, go to Tools, Convert to Curves, and then give it a black stroke color and a black fill color. Deselect, select both items, File, Export as Picture, adjust your settings, click on Export, choose your location and give the file a name. And then when you bring this into your cutting software, you have the image and you have the cut lines. And you can just realign these now. We're almost done. Now remember this cute little blue deer that was giving us trouble? This is a stencil or a punch that was used on a background paper. And the best way that I have found to resolve this issue is to go to Tools and Convert to Curves, and then deselect, select the paper, and press Delete on the keyboard. Now all that's left is the deer. You can now give it a black stroke color and a black fill color. Give it a line width. File, export as picture. Adjust your settings. Click on export. Choose your location and give the file a name and click on save. Here's my new deer at the bottom of this window. And when I bring it into a cutting program, there it is. Make this easier to see by adjusting the stroke width. There we go. Now, in the embellishments that are created by using a punch or a stencil on a digi paper, it's going to be really hard to get the papers and the cut lines out and create a new deer. But you can cut the deer from any of your own patterned papers or fill it with any color that you like. And I'd like to give you a little teaser about that in the Fun Time program. If I open my Fun Time program and bring the deer into it, make it bigger to make it more visible, there's a really neat feature in Fun Time. Like any program, I can change the color of this deer to any color I like. But what's also really cool in the Fun Time software is we have digital papers. And I can fill this deer with any of these digital papers that I choose and get some really neat effects, as you can see here. And then to change my stroke color to match that paper, I can use my eyedropper, select a color, and now the stroke color matches the patterned paper that it's filled with. I think that covers just about everything for this video. I do realize that some of the cutting programs do not import images, but in the meantime, I recommend that you continue creating your SVG files the way I've showed you by combining my method with the daisy trail method, which just very briefly is bring your embellishment onto the page, press and hold Control, drag to the side, release the mouse, release Control, go to Tools, Convert to Curves, give it a stroke width. On the Color tab, make sure the stroke is black, change the fill to black, select both items, go to File, Export, Export as Picture. Now, I do realize that some of you are using programs that do not import graphics, but I recommend that you continue using this method in case you might update your software in the future to a different program, or perhaps the maker of your program will update your software so that you can import the graphic part of the SVG file. Then when you do have a program that will import the graphic, you don't have to go back and redo all of your SVG files. They will already have the graphic in them. I'm aware there are some problems in Silhouette Studio with importing the graphics in the SVG file, and I will be making another video specific just to Silhouette Studio. I've figured out a couple of workarounds that are working well, and I'll do those in the next video. As always, happy crafting. Thank you for watching.